Impact of political rivalry on governance in Edo State is what we're about this morning, and there is need to make sure that there is peace in the state. Looking at the election that transpired September 21st, 2024, the governorship election, where the PDP governorship candidate, Dr. Aswe Godalo, was featured, and of course, also the APC governorship candidate in the person of Senator Monde Okpebholo was featured, where Senator Monde Okpebholo was declared the winner of the election, and now he is the governor of Edo State. But issues surrounding the post-election matters are still up, and we also look at the need for security agents to make sure that the election tribunal vicinity is condoned off from anything that has to do with what will perpetuate as risk to the tranquility and peace of that vicinity. Yesterday was another ugly incident where we saw the face-off of some APC youths with the security details to the governorship candidate of the PDP, Dr. Aswe Godalo, yesterday, and it almost degenerated to a fracas, but for the intervention of the police and, of course, security agents in that vicinity. And there is need to make sure that the peace and tranquility of Edo State is not compromised. How do we go about it? Even a situation where the party secretariat of the PDP was also, taken over by the APC, and such drama that took place is calling or raising concerns for how we can make sure that political rivalry in Edo State do not degenerate to a point where we say that it's a risk, or rather bringing the negative vibes to the people, rather than even getting to make sure that we have good evidence of democracy. Is democracy safe in Edo State with what has been transpiring? How do we bet a liberal democracy? How do we make sure that there is peace in the state? How should the government functionaries, of course, caution the members of the party in power, and of course the opposition, the PDP, and other parties alike from causing anything that could bring about violence in the state? Discussing this with me, starting from the guests, eminent personalities I have in the studio. From my immediate left, I have Anthony Hilibo, who is an Esquire and PDP chieftain and special advisor on communication to Aswe Igodalo. Good morning, Anthony Hilibo.
Thank you. Good morning. It's nice to be here with you.
All right, next to Anthony Hilibo is a political analyst, Honorable Osaboye Emigai. Thanks for coming, Honorable.
Thank you so much. Good morning. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Of course, we have St. Moses Eromosele, the Executive Director of Naga Self Foundation, Edo State, joining us via Zoom. He is a civil rights activist. Good morning, Eromosele.
Good morning, Phillips. Good morning, Edo State.
Thank you. Well, let's start with you, Anthony Hilibo. We've been having these issues, these challenges, and there is need for us to make sure that we situate it rightly, because democracy, they say, is the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But a situation where we are having political rivalry that would do the otherwise, or bringing threats to the peace of the state, is another alarming issue. So what do you see about the development recently in Edo politics?
Well, thank you very much for having me. When you describe it as political rivalry, I try to imagine how, when you have a rival, it means you're equal, you're doing things, you're both doing things. But as far as I'm concerned, there's an aggressor, and there's someone who is trying to seek justice. There's just two different sets of people. From prior to the election, we had our members being chased around town, harassed. There were videos everywhere. We were replete with videos of someone they brought in policemen from Abuja and different divisions to come and pick up people and take them out of Abuja. The Esan West local government chairman was taken to somewhere in Abuja and not released till after the election. There was a councillor in Urumi, Esan Northeast, that was taken away. On election day, we saw massive electoral malpractice, malfeasance. We saw a connivance between the Nigerian police force some rogue elements, not everybody. And then you saw connivance with INEC officials, which we have found out. We've sent our evidence to different places. We've gotten reports from several independent organizations, YAGA, TAP Initiative, Athena Center, that's led by Osita Chidoka, have all come out and severally indicted the process. And we have not resorted to self-help. We didn't see, the most we did was civil disobedience of protests. Following the dictates of democracy and what it allows us to do within the context that we have a safe society, we have a society that is progressive. You have a governor that was sworn in on a mandate that we think and we sincerely believe is faulty, and we have approached the courts. But throughout this process, we've been met with unbridled aggression, we've been met with untold hostility, attempts that we have considered why the security forces, the government in power, have failed to rein these people in. We know the characters that are involved. I can tell you their names. Emperor Jared Tanebe, who is the acting chairman of APC. You have a Kelly Okumbowa, Ebo Stone, a.k.a. Ebo Stone. You have a Tony Adun, a.k.a. Tony Kabaka. Who are the individuals you have seen consistently on TV. You know, in a more civilized society, somewhere like the UK, those people will be banned from the premises of the court because you have been caught on camera several times showing hostility. Look, we always say, especially if you take into context the sudden overtake, criminal trespass to the PDP secretariat, there are ways and means you can legitimately pursue these grievances. For instance, if you have such a matter, you can approach the landlord, who will approach the courts, issuing a form, a writ of notice of intention to recover his property. He will go through the court process, get the court judgment, go to the bailiffs, who will come with the police that is attached to the bailiff section of the court and enforce that judgment. That is the process. You see, when people are committing these atrocities, knowing or believing that the state, which should take responsibility, you know, the first part of the Constitution is the guarantee that government gives its citizens, which is the safety of lives and property. So if I am taken to task, I am deprived of these rights, it is the government I expect to enforce these rights. And you know, the temporary government I honestly believe it's temporary until the courts announce this, of Mondo Peola has failed to live up to the expectation that it's a government for all. And I think to a large extent, whenever we've complained, I will give the security forces a pass mark that they have improved on their services. But we have seen them drop the ball when it comes to enforcing the law, ensuring that people who commit such offenses understand that there are consequences. You cannot be caught on camera saying, yes, I committed an offense, and there's nothing that will happen to me. And someone challenging a state officer who is in the holy and sacred. Listen, I'm a 16 years post-call lawyer. I'm so embarrassed about what is going on in the hallowed temples of justice. We need to respect these institutions. Look, I'm going to bequeath that legacy to the coming generation of lawyers. What do I expect them to do? To see people come into court harassing witnesses who are in a case, who were packed in a bus because of you.
Okay, but don't forget so quickly, even what transpired in the previous case at the commencement of the hearing, where there was shooting that indicted your party as trying to force the mandate of your candidate on the people.
There's a boy called Mavis Olunwese that everybody has said is the said individual who is attached to this same Kelly Okumbowa, Ebo Stone, who works with him. You know, I still cannot fathom why anybody in this age will think that a PDP member, an ASWE follower, wearing a T-shirt that showed that it was just printed a few seconds before he wore it, that had the tag. He had somebody else waiting for him with an unbranded that looks like a government house vehicle waiting for him, and that person is filming him and he's shooting. And this is 5 meters from the Nigerian Police Force head command. In this thing. It's 5 meters from where the DSS is. It's 5 meters from where the AIG command is. How on earth are we supposed? The courts were cordoned by the Nigerian Police Force. Who do we hold? You know, when all these things are going on, the last question that is asked is, who is in charge of security? That person has dropped the ball. because that person is supposed to arrest this individual. And we have been expecting that. In fact, I personally am calling out today to the security forces to make sure that they apprehend this person. Because you see, my greatest fear and worry is that a phenomenon is being introduced that was introduced into the Southeast a few years ago. It started by people wearing masks and shooting randomly into the air. That was the first phase of that phenomenon, the unknown gunmen. That's how they came out. The next phase they went into was openly shooting at people and killing. And that is how Professor Dora Akunyili's husband was murdered somewhere around in Newi. So we have to be careful where certain trends that we introduce, perhaps as a stunt, where they will end up with our people. We must love our people. I've never heard the APC chairman, you know, in the short period that they're there, talking about the policies they have for Edo State people. We would want the conversation to go beyond thuggery, to go beyond lions and tigers exposed on the streets, for us to talk about the developmental strides we want to impact on. The time is going. The rest of the world is moving on. States are understanding the powers that are being given to them. Local governments, which should right now be enjoying the benefits of direct payments from President Tinubu's vision of an autonomous local government system that caters to the lowest level, which means our people will this borders and affects our people.
Okay.
You see, local government autonomy is supposed to deal directly with that man that is left in Igwebe village, that man that is in Esa Northeast Uromi, that man that is in Agbede. It's supposed to get to him in his home. But do you know what has happened in Edo State? Within the open commands of this state government, they have distorted that system.
Okay.
So the Edo person, the Edo individual at that level has been deprived.
I'll come to you again. I'll come to you again. Thank you. But I want to greet your very, very comportment, Honorable Osaboye Rivalry. I could see your composure, but he said a lot. Anthony Elebo said a lot as regards the governor not making government for all. And of course, with all that happened, the aspect about the shooting, you know, and of course, the face-off yesterday that almost degenerated to a fracas between the APC youths and the security details, and all that transpired. Do you see this as a good note that could promote positively the governor of the state in all of this?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, like you said, he said a lot. And I had to take my time to listen to him. Because first of all, we are first Edo-lites before we are supporters of any political party. That being so, Edo must be the focus at all time. And what interests Edo should be what all of us must protect at all time. I haven't said that. Your people talk about reactions and forget to look at what necessitated that reaction. He spoke beautifully, and one will be carried away to think that everything he has said were just something that happened just yesterday. Edo people do not have short memory. Okpebholo is merely 2 months into this government, and we understood that there was government before now for 8 years. And the PDP has refused to understand that the elections are over. They have refused to believe that Governor Okpebholo is the governor of Edo State today as it stands. And they have also failed to believe or failed to understand that what the law permits them to do is to seek redress in court in the event that they are not satisfied. And that they must do within the ambience of the law and not take laws into their hands. We recall, sir, that it was in this state that the former governor made a remark that if the APC do anything funny, Edo will burn. And that snowballed into the cold-blooded murder of a police officer at the airport. And the police that he has been calling on came out to arrest those who they suspected to have been responsible for the death of that policeman, who had no business dying ab initio, because his only sin is that he was protecting the candidate of APC at that time. You see, these are the things that they have continued to perpetuate. He talked about the activities of the lions and tiger. How do you bring, of what use was the 6 to 10 heavily built young men imported from outside the state to the court premises? Of what use was that? He didn't talk about that. The PDP candidate, with due respect to him, I have tremendous respect for his person, Dr. Aswa Igodalo, came with private security to the court premises, a direct affront on the security agencies who had responsibility to protect every person. We had the police, we had the soldiers, we had the DSS. We have more than 6 different security agencies in Nigeria saddled with the responsibility of protecting lives and properties. As a direct affront on them, he couldn't find anyone to have confidence in. He came in with private security men. And the APC people said, no, look at it. The people said, no, we can't have this happen now. And they didn't just come to protect, the candidate. They came to stop other people from entering. I see that was their business. So you see, Edo has taken a decision. And that decision today is that Monday Okpebholo is the governor of Edo State. And the PDP, while it is within their right to seek redress in court, they must understand that at every given time, there is only a current champion. And today, the current champion in Edo State is Senator Monday Okpebholo, who is setting Edo on the path of progress. And we appeal to them to understand this, that the man will not and can never and shall not be distracted. He will set Edo on the path of progress like he has started.
Tony made a vital point where he spoke about concerning, reacted to the question I asked concerning the shooting, that took place at the commencement of the hearing at the Election Petition Tribunal vicinity.
Yes.
And he said, for that to be happening even around the law enforcement agents, shows that the party basically will not be perpetuating that. So what do you think happened? What transpired?
Let me tell you.
Who will be blamed in that reaction
Philip, let me
that
tell
took
you.
place?
Everybody today, those who are actively playing politics, belong to one political party or the other. And the only way to identify the political party you belong to is either by your card or by whatever shirt you put on that you adore yourself with. In this instance, the man we saw on the video, whether or not he is attached to anybody, I do not know. I don't know the person. Perhaps he knows. But let us assume that he is attached to a particular individual. But what we saw is that a young man wore the cap and the shirt of Dr. Aswa Igodalo, shouting solidarity song of saying, "Give us our mandate," which is the solidarity song that every PDP today is singing. So the only way we can identify the man who shot that gun is that he's putting on the shirt of PDP.
Well,
and he talks about security agents not being able to arrest them. At this time, we must call on the security agencies to maintain neutrality. It is their business to protect every Edolite, irrespective of the political party you belong to. If the young man has been identified, the security agencies, I'm sure, will do all the investigation and ensure that the person is apprehended. But for now, the person we saw on camera is a member of PDP.
Thank you, Saboye. I know you have reactions, but can you just keep your reactions first? Let's quickly get to the civil rights activist and person of St. Moses Iromosele. All that transpired, we want your input in making sure that we move on to bring about peace in the state. What should be done? What do you see as the responsibility of the governor, to mitigate the gap in all of these differences?
Yeah, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Philip. I listened to the two speakers speak very eloquently. I will speak as a civil rights activist that I am. First of all, before I go into the solutions, let me quickly highlight the problem. Political rivalry is a normal thing in any power contestation. There's definitely going to be rivalry as long as you are taking political power. The government, the laws, and the system should curtail the excesses and ensure that this rivalry exercised within the ambit of the law. And that's where the problem in those states come from. What we've seen in the courts, what we've seen in the party secretariat takeover, what we've seen lately in those states is a disgrace, to say the least. And I think it should put the blame on anybody, like the two speakers try to blame each other. No, I'm not putting blame on anybody. I'm putting the blame squarely on where the blame should be, and that's the government. Why? Because the duty of the government is to provide for the security and the welfare of the people. And if that is absent, there's a problem. And the person to blame is the government. And that's why I'm calling on the governor and those who are in charge of government to ensure that going forward, nobody should create mayhem at the, especially at the court premises. It's a sacrilege that some individuals, whoever and however highly placed they are in the society, would go to the hallowed chambers of the court and constitute themselves to become alternative police. What we see there is something that should never happen. Now, why are these things happening and what must be done? First, the governor must ensure that he gives a marching order to the police to do their job. And the police must ensure that they are not explaining to Nigerians. They should carry out the law. They should enforce the law the way the law says it should be enforced. Don't begin to explain to somebody who is breaking the law, no, you should not do it this way, you should not do it that way. No. When he's breaking the law, arrest him. And when you do that, the next time, nobody will break the law because you are seen to be firm and fair. So if
That was St. Moses Eromosele joining us via Zoom, and we will be bringing him back to continue from where he left us, as much as we are able to establish connectivity. Let's get back to you. We're trying to react to what he said, but again, while you react to that, let's look at how we can ensure continuity of governance. Some policies that were left off by the previous administration, there is need to also seek the positives by the present administration in making sure that this continues. What do you see as the leveraging gap?
Okay, well, I'm going to address, I'll give you a chronological order of things, just to give you a context. When we went to INEC, pre-election tribunal, that's the PDP and Dr. Aswe Gudalo, consistently our lawyers and forensic analysts were harassed, attacked, threatened. And this was led by Jared Tenebe and Ebo Stone, Kelly Okungboa. Those were the people that led that onslaught. When we're going to court, we decided that we'll get private security, and you're allowed to, for whatever reason, to have private security. They came for the private security as well. The next video we saw, which was the next day, they came for the police. What happened yesterday again was they came for the DSS. The same set of individuals. The videos don't change. If you played the video just now, the same set of people went to the APC secretariat. The same set of people came for the bouncers and were fighting them in court. Right? So it's, okay, we assume it's two fighting, as they just said now. Both people were supposed to never ever go back to that courthouse. The next day they came, they confronted the police. It was the police that they were challenging, that they wanted to go to the witness boxes. The next time we saw any video, it was the DSS they had faced. These people are gradually challenging both civilians, or let me even go back a little bit. They started with the chairman and ended up with the people who drive buses on the street. Those ones protested that thugs and people were attacking them and collecting money from them. We thought that was the end. They came to the courts. They attacked. Okay, let's even assume those people had gained access control. I personally think that that would have been resolved with everybody saying, let's step back. It resulted in a fight. The next time we saw it, but you can see them on your video, challenging the police. The police said nobody should go in. They started challenging. Now, let me say this. Where have you seen any PDP individual fighting the police, fighting the DSS, or fighting motorists? It has not happened. We know who the aggressor is here. And we're simply saying, look, consistently, the same set of individuals. Consistently, the same set of individuals are the same people perpetuating these things. We know them. And they've now come so bold that they do it with, does the police need any more evidence? Does anybody need to be convinced who is perpetrating the violence? You know, we have nothing personal against anybody. We only want to ventilate in the courts, as we have been told. We believe our election was stolen. Allow us prosecute that matter. Our witnesses are being harassed. Today we are going back to court again, and I can assure you they will make an attempt at our witnesses. They have been calling their, you know, the kind of things that we've heard. They've been calling witnesses, threatening them, threatening their families. And I want to put this on record. Nigeria cannot descend beyond this. I'm not in politics because, and I don't speak because it's against my, I'm doing very well in my legal practice and as a businessman, but we cannot see society going to the dogs and people like me will not speak up. It is my responsibility, it's an obligation. I wish when he spoke about the individual that was shooting the gun, I'm making a statement here, that the Nigerian police force needs to go after him because he endangered the lives of people. He disturbed the peace. Anybody that is seen, I've been in the court all through. Let me say something. Okay. Have you ever seen me in any video fighting? Have you ever seen me getting into any altercation? Even when you upset me, I will walk away because I respect that institution too much. And we expect people to respect our institution. As a lawyer, I'm calling on his friends to respect the courts. It is where we practice. It's our temple of justice. I am called to that place. And I call for the respect. The Nigerian Bar Association has written against the harassment of Wole Yamu SAN that happened in court, led by these same individuals again. Where do they draw the line? We need them to draw the line. We need them to respect the sanctity of our courts. Please, it is a plea to every lawyer. This needs to stop now.
All right, thank you.
Please,
thank you.
Let me quickly respond, Philip. You see, people, it is unfortunate that people will come to a space like this and attempt to hoodwink the people with beautiful words. You know, perhaps he talked about the respect for institution. And before I say this, the general saying that eye for an eye will make the whole world go blind, I am not unaware of that fact. But again, we need to remind him, talking about respect for institution, that we're in this state, that there were 14 members of Assembly that were not sworn in, who went to hide in a hotel. Government forces, led by PDP at that time, with faces known, went and beat them up mercilessly in their hotel. They didn't talk about institution. I'm coming.
It's really upsetting when I hear this.
Please,
Lawrence Anini was in this state. Will I behave like Lawrence Anini because it's for
you had your time.
Will I behave like Lawrence Anini because it's for you?
It's not yet your time to react, but I just gave you that opportunity to react quickly. But we're going to be taking a short break, after which we get the comments of Honorable Osaboye Eimari. Do stay.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Thank you for joining us again as TMI, and we are about impact on political rivalry, Edo in perspective. And I see I have my guests with me, talking about Anthony Ehilebo Esquire, and of course, Honorable Osaboye Eimari, and of course we have St. Moses Eromosele joining us via Zoom. Let's quickly get your reactions, because we saw the rivalry that we had here even before the break, and that also goes to show that this rivalry exists in the state. And so for us to make it healthy, so that we're able to dissipate our energy on good things that will bring about good governance. What do you see? Why you react to what he said? What do you see as going forward for the government or administration under Senator Mondo Okpebholo to mitigate the gap, to close this gap, and bring about an opportunity for citizens and indigents of the state to breathe?
Okay, I'll continue with a saying of a certain writer during the Soviet Union. He said that first they came for the communists. I didn't speak because I was not a communist. He said later they came for the Democrat. I didn't speak because I was not a Democrat. He said later they came for me. He said, and there was nobody to speak for me. That is the situation of the PDP right now. They were in this state because they keep talking about respect for institutions. While I agree that irrespective of which political party you belong, you cannot continue to support evil in any guise, no matter who is perpetrating it. But we need to remind them that they are only being saved by karma, by what they have sown. And as a responsible citizen, we will now have to appeal to the government of the day, to tell the government of the day that he was not elected to avenge for anybody, but he was elected to fix Edo State, which is what he's currently doing. I'd like to remind you, sir, that in 2020, we had 14 members of assembly who were not sworn in by the then government and denying 14 constituency representation.
But you keep saying this. It seems you are raising sentiments.
Let me finish.
You still have the floor. You still have the floor.
No, you will let me finish.
You keep saying, you said it earlier.
No,
but it seems you are raising sentiments.
You keep interrupting me.
No. You still have the floor.
You keep interrupting me.
It seems you are having sentiments.
You keep interrupting me. No, we need to speak to these issues and bury those issues and be able to anchor it on the point.
But you seem to say that this is a payback.
I already said that this government was not elected. I said that before you interrupted me.
No, I'm concerned about the honorable members in the House of Assembly that you may mention.
Yes.
You've said it twice, repeatedly. And I'm saying are you saying that it's an opportunity to pay back?
No, in response to what is said, respect for institutions. You cannot give what you don't have. You will always reap what you sow, sir. That in this same state, we had the government of the day at that time pull down the roof of House of Assembly so that members cannot see.
Are you calling for retribution?
That was not.
Are you calling for retribution?
Respect for institution. I'm responding to him, sir.
Okay.
You will let me finish.
Okay, but you respond to my question too.
I already responded to your question when I said that this government was not elected.
Okay.
This government was not elected to avenge anybody's sin.
Okay.
But just to respond to what he has said, that they are merely reaping what they sow. They are merely reaping what they sow. So ours is to appeal to the government of the day that we cannot continue in this light. That whoever is seen or known to have committed any crime
should be brought to book.
Should be brought to book.
Irrespective of political parties or differences.
Which political party you belong to. But the PDP cannot continue to play sense in this matter, in this state. Edo people are wiser. Edo people know better. We are in this state, sir. We for about 84 councillors. Because he kept talking about local government. We were in this state where 84 councillors were suspended on the basis of the fact that they did not decamp with Obaseki in 2020. We were in this state where 5 local government chairmen were suspended from office because they did not decamp with Obaseki. We were in this state where 3 vice chairmen were suspended. I'm giving the exact numbers. Were suspended because they did not decamp with Obaseki. We are not saying this to say that we have come to avenge or revenge, but we are only saying this to say that PDP cannot continue to play saint. They must understand that today we have a new sheriff in town who is the person of Senator Monday Okpewolo, who is saddled with the responsibility of providing dividends of democracy for the people. And he has set his hand on the plow and he can't look back. No amount of distraction will make him derail from
let's not forget,
thank you.
Let's not forget the fact that governance is about the people. I started by saying that democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
It's true.
And we can see even that in the electoral process, how the people usually come out to choose those that will govern them.
Philip,
but we don't want a situation whereby we spend...
For 30 seconds.
Excuse me. We don't have a situation whereby... I'll give you that time.
Okay.
We don't have a situation whereby we spend much time deliberating on the problems. Now, how do we forge ahead? You spoke about the need for the governor to make sure that he's able to, govern the state and not to avenge or to go for retribution.
Yes.
Calling for the heads of those that were indicting your party, in the previous. Now, how do you advise or do you urge the governor to bring about peace, to close the gap that we are having, and in order to bring about dividends of good democracy for the people for which he was elected?
Yes. You see, I've said it in this studio and anywhere, sir, that whether we like Obaseki or not, as a governor, there were some reforms that he brought in as a government. And I've advised this government, in every platform I have the opportunity, that if there were reforms and programs that Obaseki brought that directly affect the ordinary Edo man, irrespective of how you feel or what you feel about Obaseki and his government, you must sustain those reforms. But Governor Okpebholo, in this instance, to my mind, and to what we have seen in the last 2 months, he has continued in that light.
Thank you. You've articulated a point, and I believe I've given you a fair share. Thank you. You've articulated a point. Let's get that question back to you, St. Moses Eromoseli. How do we forge ahead to make sure that we have good governance for the people? Because, like what we can see now, does not seem to bring about, attention on the senator as the governor of the state to, do the needful for the people. What do you advise going forward?
Yeah, thank you very much, Phillips. I think I want to advise that, first of all, let us, like the last speaker said, that the previous administration may have done certain things in the past. Let us accept, for example, that it was true, but let us not repeat it. The new government should not repeat the mistakes of forward. The governor should ensure that he makes statements and addresses those state people to behave. The party leaders should address their parties to behave. The court should give an order inside the court and instruct everybody outside the court to maintain decorum. And we Nigerians should pray, because these are ominous days, because there are signs of very, very, very wicked future if we do not personal hatred to the point that we have to attack people in their homes and all that. So we need to, as a people, come together to understand that power is transcendent. People were here 10 years ago, they're not here again. People will be here 10 years from now, and there are not people that are here today. So we must, when we have power, we must focus on governance. The government should focus on governance, and the first priority of government is to ensure the security and the well-being of people. If there are good policies of the Obaseki administration, maintain them. If there are bad policies, correct them. Don't repeat them. Thank you.
St. Moses Eromoseli, a civil rights activist, and of course is also the executive director on Neges Foundation EWU here in Edo State. As we wrap up, let's take away the bad blood. I know you are of the PDP, but let's see how we can focus on governance. What's your advice for the governor?
Well, I'll start with the person I have in the studio here. I can see that he has taken my analogy on while we were on the break. I gave him an analogy, and that's what he used. But the application of the analogy is from the citizens to the bouncers to the police to the DSS, and now almost recently you that he came to. Governance.
He didn't attack me. He didn't. I must make that clear that point.
The viewers
there was no attack.
Well, the viewers can decide. But I saw the perspective of him coming to you and saying you didn't give him enough time. But that aside, I think that we must imbue certain things as the government that is in power.
Yeah.
You must show neutrality. You must show that your first object is to provide security, comfort, and for the welfare of your people. That we need to urgently see from the current governor, since he's the one managing affairs now, not distorting the local government systems, not resorting to people committing open offenses of taking over secretariat. He's a member of the APC. And that action, everybody sees it for what it is, was illegal trespass. But we hope that we can, moving forward, this appeal I have made today reaches out to all of them, that we're not afraid. We're not people who are driven to fear, but we will choose always in the first instance peace and tranquility for us to pursue our common goals. That is what the person I speak for is Dr. Aswe Godalo. He has mentioned a lot of things that have happened in the past. I dare say that in this same state, we had Lawrence Anini, who was one of the most famous armed robbers. It doesn't mean that we have continued in that direction.
Thank you.
It's a new time, a new state. Don't think someone has done something bad in the past and use it as an excuse to do something worse today. You need to do better. You need to show that why you came into governance is something different. And that's what we are promising the people of Edo State, that we're trying to recover this mandate. We are trying to recover our mandate. We're in court, and we would like to ventilate in court without interruptions like this.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Anthony.
We need to proceed.
Thank you, Anthony.
You've
articulated the point. Thank you for your comments. Let's get you as you wrap up. 60 seconds.
Yeah, quickly, I'd like to emphasize that governance is about the people, and it is not about Revenge is about providing basic amenities for the people. Anybody who's elected into office must first understand that this is the reason the people cast their votes for you.
Although it's also beyond basic amenities.
Of course, of course, of course. You know, so my appeal is to the governor that remain focused, because we see attempts by some elements to distract you, to derail you, to make the state almost ungovernable. But we want to appeal to the governor not to be distracted. He must continue to focus and refocus on development of Edo State, which is currently doing. And like I said before, if there are reforms from the previous government that he think he can keep and improve on,
okay,
he has to keep them. If there are anything that has been wrong in the past, he must continue, you know, to let them go and let the past remain in the past. But if anybody, as the chief security officer of the state, if anybody, irrespective of who you are, attempts to disrupt the current progress and development that is currently in Edo State, government will also use government apparatchik.
Thank you so much, Honorable Osaboye Emigari, and thank you so much also, Anthony Ehilebo Esquire, and of course the civil rights activist and the person of St. Moses Eramosele. Big thanks for taking that time to be part of this. Well, this is where we call it a wrap on the conversation from the Network Center, and we thank God we were able to survive the rivalry that we saw in the studio. And basically, it's not to kill us, but to make sure that we are able to, you know, forge ahead.